Well, we're back. We enjoyed our bye week off. We hope you did as well. Welcome to this episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kennedy, and as always, joined with my co hosts, Scott Medlin, Josh Cox, and Jamie Holt. We don't have any post game video to show you this week because the Blue Devils were off last week. But before we talk all things Virginia Tech, before we get to our interview, before we get to tell the tape, this week in Blue Devil history and predictions, as always, we got to pay the bills, fellas. We got to keep the lights on for at least 2 more weeks. Well, 3 more weeks, including the bowl week. 3. Thank you. Let's get it rolling. First off, Realtor Matt Bliven. He is giving his last ticket giveaway this weekend for Senior Day at Wallace Wade Stadium. Matt's a Durham native. Of course, he's a Duke fan, and he is ready to tackle any question or opportunity you would like to discuss. He's super knowledgeable on the current trends of the market and has all your home needs covered. Now, listen, if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, invest, or build in the triangle, give Matt a call at 919-323-0527 or email him at mlb@nestrealty.com. And that logo has been creeping very close to me. Let me move away. There we go. So Matt has been a great sponsor for us, Hellraiser sponsor this year. And our thanks to Matt as we get closer to season's end. But Josh, we've got you in your home. What else do we need to talk about?
Well, you got to stay warm in the winter, cool in the summer. In fact, it's getting cooler out there. I'm not sure if you guys have turned that heat on at night yet, but it's getting cool. Hometown Air is your go-to source for residential HVAC work. They provide service contracts that give you comfort in knowing that your system is always at its peak, no matter the season. So with their service contracts, you can enjoy peace of mind knowing that your system is in expert hands all year round. Performing regular maintenance on your system not only will extend the life of your system, but it will ensure your systems will run efficiently. You can call them today and sign up for a service contract. And a reminder, if you do that, and you mentioned the Section 17 podcast, you will get $17 off your first year service contract. And so I want to encourage you to head over to hometownairnc.com, hometownairnc.com. Check out how they can serve you if you're in the Durham, Hillsborough, Roxborough, Mebane, Pittsburgh, Raleigh, and anywhere in between. You can also call them at 919-568-3212. We appreciate our friends over at Hometown Air. And last but not least, our friends at Home Field Apparel. We are not, nope, no one tonight is rocking Home Field Apparel, but we all have Home Field apparel gear. In fact, my father-in-law and my two brother-in-laws are all three getting Home Field Apparel merch this year for Christmas. And so don't tell them well, my father-in-law does listen. Sorry, I gave that away. But anyway, Home Field Apparel is hooking it up. So they have Duke gear, but they also have gear for every school that you could think of. It's comfortable. It's really nice. Brings you back the nostalgia of the old school vintage wear there. Homefieldapparel.com is their website. If you use code section 17, you can get 15% off your first order. So please go to homefieldapparel.com and use code section 17. We have officially paid the bills and the lights are still on.
Well, we were off last week, so thank you all for understanding. It's been a long season, a good long season, but we had to rest and recharge as we get ready for the Virginia Tech game, the Wake Forest game next Saturday, and then, of course, our bowl game, which is to be determined. So we've got to talk about the big victory in Carter Finley really quick before we get to our interview that Josh conducted earlier today. Fellas, it was another great victory over the Wolfpack's second year in a row as Duke went to Carter Finley and won 29-19. 3 of the 4 of us were in the stands. I, unfortunately, was in the press box. Thought I was going to be able to be on the field for the game, but state security had other plans. I'll just leave it at that. So, fellas, let's just dig right into it. Let's give our thoughts about the big win over state before we get into the interview. Who wants to start?
I'll go ahead and go. So great job. Started early, second play of the game for State having the football. The defense shown out. Yeah, English and me are not friends, but they did a great job getting the safety And, it easily could have been a whole lot more than a 10-point game. Probably should have been, but it is what it is. As usual, the phantom roughing the passer. And then to me, maybe the highlight of the season was Jake Taylor running down the dude. Now, granted, I will say this, and not taking anything away from Jake. The gas was on E as my man got to about the 30-yard line. But Jake still in a dead sprint caught the guy. So I don't give a crap what he was doing. Didn't give up on the play, and that's one of the things we love about these guys. They don't give up on anything. It was a fun game. It was fun to watch. Got to see some interesting things. I didn't exactly get to sit with the guys because there was no room in the end. So I had to sit down there behind the band. But at the very end, a couple jerks throw beer bottles at the band and hit them in the head. That was kind of, statish. So, but other than that, man, one great job. Defense showed what he could do. And Jordan Moore, there you go. There's nothing else you can say about the guy. He catches everything and makes it look great when he does it.
I got one word. Polino. Todd Polino. 50-yarder, 49-yarder. That 49-yarder sealed the game. If he misses
Clutch.
that field goal, NC State has the ball right around midfield, down 7, and we're in a fight. And but man, that was really cool to see Todd really bounce back there in that game. And I mean, those were long field goals, and he nailed them. Especially, like I said, especially that second one. And I will say, shout out Carter Finley Stadium and the whole tailgate scene at NC State and all that. Lived up great. They know how to do things right over there. Was really cool for I believe the Duke guys to go against Jordan Waters. Obviously probably a lot of smack talk, happening there. But Scott mentioned that the defense was on point, and then the offense was creative. We saw a Malik Murphy running touchdown. He is now officially a dual threat quarterback. Watch out, Virginia Tech. Watch out. Here he comes. Jamie, what you got from the state game?
Yeah, it was it was a great day to start. We got there and went to the Iron Duke tailgate. There was a lot of people at that Iron Duke tailgate. It was full. They had a great turnout. And like Josh said, mentioned the tailgate scene at State is unrivaled in this area. It is what it is. State fans are very, very loyal to their team, and they packed out Carter Finley. And Scott mentioning that he didn't get to sit with us because our row was so packed, and we were in our seats that we were supposed to be in, and like people kept on coming into our row. I'm like, where are these people gonna go? Like, because I'm looking down the row. I'm like, we're shoulder to shoulder. Like, you don't have any room here. And Scott ended up moving down a row and then like down 3 more rows. But yeah, it was a good day. Shout out also to State for putting the visitor section facing the sun for the entire first half. Like, it nearly blinded me. But anyways, it was a great game. Had fun. It started like Duke. It almost looked like Duke was going to blow them out. Like, and could have been a blowout. But shout out, State for responding and making it a tight game, which was what we kind of all thought it would be. I think we ended up all being pretty close on our predictions for our score predictions, and Scott was, I think, the
just for
closest.
the record.
Yeah. So all in all, it's a great day, great weather. Can't complain. Duke won. You don't get much better than that.
Weirdest start to the game I think I've seen in Duke football history, where you go safety, field goal, touchdown. We had joked it was 12-0, and in the press box, I was sitting with the Duke communication staff, so shout out to all of them for allowing me to sit with them. It felt like a baseball game when it was 12-0, and then it turned into a field goal game when it quickly got to 12. It got up to 12-12. It's been 2 weeks. Sorry, I have short-term memory. But good to see Grayson in the game. That was one thing, a wrinkle that no one of us expected. But from what we're hearing, you're going to see more Grayson for the rest of the year, which is great to hear and see. I think he brought that wrinkle that we needed. Like Josh said, I guess that motivated Malik to run as well and into the end zone. Everyone was fantastic with yes, I did ruin a question. It is what it is. But it was just fantastic to see that the offense is starting to click the way we thought it should have clicked all season long. But yeah, I'll tell my story really quick just for all you fans. So I went down to the field with our photographers, Tyler and Laura, and they got on the field just fine. Guy lets me on. Very nice. I mean, very accommodating crew. I get to about the Sea of the Wolf Pack, and then this Vietnam veteran with a sleeve of tattoos yells at me and so eloquently tells me I can't be down there because I don't have the right color badge. Now, for most fans, and I actually got it right here. You see how I'm color red? Apparently, you had to have a green or yellow badge to get on the field and stay on the field. So we're spoiled at Duke, I guess. But it was a different view from the press box. I would have preferred to have been in the stands. It is what it is. And the PA announcer that was giving the stats to all the media was calling Duke Juke over the. So every time something would happen, he'd be like, "That's a juke first down, juke. That's a touchdown, juke." And even the comm staff was like, "Does this guy know who they're playing?" Like, you would think state employees would know how to say Duke. But all in all, I think it was a great performance. Great start, kind of slow in the middle, but Todd icing the game at the end, just to emphasize that exclamation point, because we know Todd had been struggling for a couple of weeks. Good to see him back and being his usual self, kicking the field goals, kicking the kicks he knows how to. So it's good to be 7-3. Jamie?
Brian, you were home by like 4:30 at least, right?
Yeah, so I got there. I just made sure that everyone saw me, got back in the car, and I went home and watched the game on the TV. Okay. One thing that sucked was traffic, regardless of what time you left. That was terrible.
It took us at least 45 to 50 minutes to get back to my house where we parked. Josh and Scott parked, and Tyler, our on-field guy, parked here at the house. It took us 45 to 50 minutes to make a 12-minute trip. So
yeah,
it was bad.
So to give you fans behind the scenes, we got to park. If you go to the state fair, right where the main entrance is for the state fair, is a parking lot. And when you pulled out, I thought I could turn right. I went right, and immediately a state trooper goes, "Hey, bud, you're gonna have to do a U-turn. We're not allowing anyone to turn left or right." So I guess their traffic pattern was off. So that was a nightmare. So that was probably the only negative thing to come out of the weekend was traffic was just abysmal. So, but yeah, another great win for Duke, 29-19, second straight win, and Duke has claimed the state. Even before Wake Forest, they've beaten Elon, they've beaten Carolina, they've beaten State, so they're 3-0 heading into the Wake game. Now we would love the clean sweep, and the guys will talk about the Wake game next week. But we got to move on. We've got another great interview. We took a few weeks off with the interviews, but we're going old school with our interview. Josh, I'll let you lead us into it because you were the one that did the interview today.
Yeah, sure. As Duke faces Virginia Tech this Saturday night, we can think of no better person to bring on than 2015 QB1 Thomas Sirk. Duke fans will remember the 4 overtime game that Duke ended up winning 45-43 there in Lane Stadium. We hear about what Thomas is up to. He talks about that game specifically, and it was just good to hear from him. So without further ado, we sat down with Thomas Sirk. Hope you enjoy.
And we're here with former Duke quarterback and Duke legend. Let's call it what it is. Thomas Sirk. Thomas, man, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on the Section 17 podcast.
Yeah, Josh, thank you guys for having me. I don't know about legend, but there's a lot that came before me to pave that term. But glad to be here, man. Glad to be talking with you guys before the upcoming game Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the reason you're on this week is because at the very least, there was a legendary game that took place back in 2015 in Lane Stadium. So we're giving you legend status for that game alone.
Hey, that one still carries forward with me today. You know, I'm actually about to close on a new house here in Austin, and my realtor is a VT alum. So, as we closed from the very beginning of that relationship, I started sending her videos of us taking down VT and kind of setting the precedent straight that who's still on top.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Well, real quick, man, before we get into that epic performance, the 4 overtime victory there in Lane Stadium. Give Duke fans a little bit of an update. So you, after you transferred, went to ECU for your final season, and then what's life been like for you, man, since all that?
Yeah, man, I had that moment where you have to decide, do you want to attempt to keep playing football when you've had 3 serious injuries? And that was a reality that I had to face back in 2017. And so, going through that whole process and kind of making that decision, a lot of faith and prayers, and starting into the working world. I actually got a job at Teamworks. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd put so much eggs in one basket with football, and took that job with Zach and his team. Unbelievable point for me in my career. It was a reflection point for me to say, hey, this is what the corporate type of working world looks like. And I took a job shortly after that with a company down in Jacksonville, Florida called Paul Davis, which is a disaster recovery company. And I've been in that space ever since now for 8.5, almost 9 years, and working here in Austin, Texas for a company called FPS Recovery. And still doing the same commercial recovery work now. We do a lot of hurricane-related disaster type relief work.
Got you. So just asking, obviously this is unscripted here. Are you guys on the ground or plans with anything in Western North Carolina with everything that took place?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We've done several projects out that way. A lot of our notable projects have been supplying water. Man, just a lot of prayers, while we're talking about that, prayers for those communities. I grew up going to Boone, North Carolina, and Sugar Mountain and App Ski Mountain. That was our skiing trips as a kid. So I love Western North Carolina and the people there. And man, I'm sorry that they had to go through that, but it's good to see the resiliency of the communities and the people that are, and groups like ours, right, that are sending water and recovering these places and helping them get restored. But we've had numerous projects over in North Carolina.
Nice. Well, we appreciate all that you guys are doing for sure. But we're here to talk a little football. Virginia Tech comes into Wallace Wade this Saturday night, 8 p.m. Prime time. Game. There's a little bit of recent history between these two programs with a couple of different things. You have Aeneas Peebles, obviously, who just transferred up there, defensive line. You got the Derek Jones, former DB's coach at Duke, that's up there on staff there at Virginia Tech. So there's some recent storylines, but there's the reason we have you on is the 2015 game, man. Duke goes up to Lane Stadium. Duke is coming off of those 2013, 2014, kind of still riding that wave, right, of success. Virginia Tech is what we know now is kind of at the beginning stages or in the process of figuring out what they're going to do next, right? Coach Beamer's in his latter stages as their head coach, and Duke heads to Lane Stadium and ends up, spoiler alert in case you didn't follow Duke football back in that time, Duke ends up the winner in a 4 overtime battle. I believe it was 45-43 in 4 overtimes. Thomas Sirk was the starting quarterback that game. I guess let's start here, man. Take us through your mindset heading into Lane Stadium, Inner Sandman, the atmosphere, everything that goes into it, man. What were you feeling that night?
We knew it was going to be a lot of fun. We knew it was going to be a tough road challenge, and when you go into Blacksburg and you're playing Virginia Tech and you hear Inner Sandman, they're going to play hard-nosed football. They got the lunch pail mentality that they've always had. They're going to play man-to-man coverage and try to say, hey, let your best guys beat our best guys. But, I think it started that week coming into Sunday. Coach Cutcliffe just preparing our team to play a game on the road like that. We had crowd noise being pumped through our speakers at practice the entire week. And so when we got into that, what seemed like unfamiliar territory of 4th overtime and stuff, Coach could have prepared us for that. We put scenarios together during camp where you got into situations where you run your best 2-point plays, and that goes all the way up until 3rd and 4th overtime. So for us, it wasn't anything new. I think it was the fatigue kind of start to set in, but also like when you hear Inner Sandman for the second time in that stadium and that crowd is as electric as they are, I think you kind of get reinvigorated and then your adrenaline sets in. So I think in that moment for me, man, it was just trying to stay as calm and poised and keep our guys in the moment and not say, the pressure of a 4 overtime or even a 1 overtime game for a team is very hard to deal with. And so when we went into that game, we knew that that week was going to be a tough challenge for us. But there was never any doubts for us to go on the road. I think we're a really good road team in 2015. I think that we kind of welcomed those opportunities, and we welcomed that one, man. And it was a lot of fun, and especially more fun when you have 75,000 people singing Enter Sandman, and you feel that adrenaline, and then it immediately just gets deflated. That's still today. I carry that moment forward with the team rushing onto the field, everybody in the moment, and it's one of the coolest moments and opportunities I've ever had.
So, we know this on this podcast. I mean, Wallace Way Stadium is a great place to play when it's packed, but it's not always packed.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in your experience, is it better to win at home with your fans going crazy, or is there just something about like shutting up in a full stadium on the road, right? What's your preference?
I honestly like being home because that's kind of like where you're grounded. That's where all the work takes place. I like to look at a road games like this, man. If you can go on the road, handle business, and then come back home and generate your own fan base and your own home field advantage, then that's what you have to do. And going on the road and winning a game like that in a very hostile, I would call it a hostile environment. I think it's one of the top 10 hardest, toughest atmospheres in college football to play. And so, like, when you can go on the road and do that and come back home, I think it makes it a little sweeter at home when you win and your fans are engaged and you're the one creating a little bit of a home field advantage. And I do think that's something that we started to see before the Miami game, not to get into that, but our fans were getting really engaged with the team, what Coach Cutt was doing in the previous 2 years there, and then going to the ACC championship. But I like coming back home and getting a victory, and you know that you're going to be more comfortable, and you best not go on the road and lose because that's always a long flight back home.
Yeah, for sure. So thinking about that game, man, and thinking about just your preparations, does anything stick out to you as like maybe something that you prepared for leading into that game that either happened the way you thought was going to happen, or maybe something you prepared for that was like it just didn't happen, like things just went completely away from what you thought was going to take place in your preparation? Anything stand out to you?
Thinking back specifically about it, I knew that we knew that Virginia Tech was going to have a lot of 5-down linemen with one linebacker in the box, and if we could isolate that linebacker and use a running and quarterback to our advantage, I mean, when you look at that game, you're going to see the 4 overtimes, you're going to see the 2-point conversions. But what a lot of people don't see is what the running backs were doing that game and the unselfishness from Shaquille Powell, Jalea Duncan, Sean Wilson, those guys. I mean, ISO blocking, head up on a linebacker. And, you're not getting the ball. Like I said, I rushed the ball 18 times that game. And the running backs were, I wouldn't call them a non-factor in the rush game, but we knew by the way Virginia Tech playing man-to-man defense 5 down with and that linebacker in the box, we could ISO him, and it created a lot of opportunities for our team. So they did exactly what our coaches told us they were going to do that week. Thank goodness, because it worked out and we had a really good game plan for it.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously your stats on that game, I think threw for 4 touchdowns. Were those passing touchdowns?
Yeah, so I pulled up the stats in preparation for it. Looking, 270 yards.
Break it down.
Oh man, 270 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, and then the 2-point conversion. Interesting.
The 2-point conversion is the iconic one because that's the one that won it at the end. So
yeah. Well, we you know what? Credit to Virginia Tech, they covered that play really well.
You still got in.
Yeah, I knew that if I had to use my legs, I would, but ideally I would just like to pass it. And we had a rub route called in the back of the corner of the end zone. Anthony Nash had already caught one earlier in the game, and we basically ran the same play. You always have that extra addition of the quarterback's legs, man. You can get them out in space, and it worked out. And credit to Matt Skura, who I saw announced his retirement from the NFL today, because he's the one who dragged me into the end zone.
Yeah, that was so good. Thinking back on that, I mean, let's see. It looks like Max McCaffrey. Do you have like a favorite? Like, think about that receiving core. Who was your guy right in that room?
Well, in that game, it was McCaffrey. I mean, you're gonna get with McCaffrey, you're gonna get one-on-one matchups with one high safety. So if we could isolate him on wheel routes and quick jolt fade routes to the outside, Max is like a go-to guy. You knew was consistent. obviously the McCaffrey name. Everybody knows it. But with Max, you knew you were going to get consistency. And above all, you knew you were going to get somebody that was competitive and wanted the ball more than the other guy. So it's no surprise to me he walked away with 2 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, for sure. So when you're in those overtimes, man, and you're going back and forth, you come over to the sidelines. What is that like? You're obviously, as a quarterback, you're a leader. I believe you're were you team captain that year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So obviously everyone's looking to you. Walk us through a little bit of like, in those 4 overtimes, what does it look like on the sideline? How do you stay focused with all of that going on? Walk us through what it felt like there in the overtimes.
I think just staying poised from start to finish. I mean, as a quarterback, it's very easy to get high or very easy to get low. But in that moment, like I said, the adrenaline starts to pump a little more. So for me, it was about calming the moment down. I knew that there were going to be very limited opportunities. And once you did have those, you didn't want to walk away with a field goal, especially if you had the possession first. And thankfully, we were able to score quickly with Eric Snyder on the wheel route up the sideline and kind of set the tempo for how this was going to be. I felt really confident. On the sideline, what you're doing is you're looking at your down and distance plays a little more. So all your preparation from Sunday on starts to come into play here. What is our best play calls that we have on 3rd and 4? What are they if it's 3rd and 6 to 7? And our coaches did a great job preparing us for that. And I felt really confident in our team. I felt like none of our team was really winded to a point where we couldn't get through this and be the more physical team, and we were. And we were able to run the ball. But I think on the sideline, when you come to the sideline, I think you're just kind of hoping. I was leaning on my defense. Like I was like, let the defense win this one for us.
Exactly.
Nobody needs to be the hero here. We have a top 5 defense in the country. Let them do the work.
Right.
Just protect the football here. Don't have any errant or forced throws. But I didn't think that way. I was thinking, let's just go score.
Yeah.
Leave it all out here and see where the chips fall.
2015, was that was Latina still the offensive line coach that season?
Yes.
That was his last season, I believe, as offensive line coach. And I mean, those guys up front just, did their job, right? For you as kind of a legitimately dual threat quarterback, running the ball quite a bit, especially in this game. But yeah, super. It was a great era of Duke football, man. Like, those 3 seasons, and you can add 2012 into there because of the Jameson Crowder touchdown catch that sent Duke bowling. But really 2013 through 2015 were just, that was like a 3-year run for Duke football that I know Duke fans would say that they appreciate you and the way you led through that. And especially in that 2015 season for sure.
Yeah. I think what was so cool about those teams and being on every one is unique and different in its own way. But what was kind of unique about every Duke team is that it was always about the team. And there was never a lot of me guys. And it was like, a lot of the times we kind of knew that we were going in as an underdog. We may be playing a Florida State that's probably got more stars on their sideline than we do. But what was so cool was the competitiveness of this team that they said, hey, we're going to put every selfish measure aside. And collectively, we're able to get things accomplished more so than one guy. And I think that is a reflection, one, of John Latina and the offensive line, because it all started with those guys. And so there was no ego guys on that 2015 team going into that game. I think it was all for your brothers, man. And I think that was how we knew we were going to win.
Yeah, kind of coming to the close of that. Off of that team, who are some of the guys that you keep up with, on a very consistent basis that you've developed like lifelong, friendships with?
I try to stay in touch with as many guys as possible, but, I'll just speak to last year. There was probably 12 of us that went on a reunion trip to Miami Beach, and it was Eric Snyder there, Tanner Stone, Dan Balinson, Corbin McCarthy, Max McCaffrey was there, Mike Mann. I talk to Anthony Boone all the time still, Braxton Deaver all the time. The guys, because I was unique, right? Because I came in mid-year, January. So I kind of fit in. I talked to Lucas Patrick still. He's still doing his thing with the Saints today. So I try to stay in touch with everybody, man. My teammates are my lifelong friends. It was like that was our fraternity because we didn't have all the stuff that was going on in the Greek life, that was our brothers. That was our life at the time. And so, when you do hard stuff with people, that's who you learn to trust. And, I'll keep in touch with all those guys the rest of my life. I wish I had more opportunities to get back to Duke to see him and do these things, but that's coming.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, one of the other things I believe you met your wife at Duke. Was she? Is that where you guys met? Right at college?
No. So I met her through work. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of Duke fans have followed you guys recently, and got some unfortunate news for Tanner back a few months ago. Can you give an update kind of where you guys stand? Because I know there's been a lot of our listeners, that have been following and keeping you guys in their prayers and whatnot.
Yeah. I can't thank like my Duke community and people, because shortly after my wife had her second baby back in May, she was having some health issues. And then so we started getting her tested, and one thing led to the other. And we found out she had stage 4 classic Hodgkin lymphoma cancer. The people have asked about it. And so started pretty quickly on an aggressive chemotherapy treatment. We went to MD Anderson here in Houston. We live in Austin today, but went there, and they had a clinical trial. I'll speak to things like this. When we found out and the news was released, Hap Zarzar was one of the first people to reach out to me and say, "Hey, what can Duke do for you?" Dr. Kevin White reached out. Coach Cutt, we reconnected and saw each other in Austin. Nina King, just the entire community. It really speaks to the family that you have when you go there. And I was really just kind of blown away by the outpouring of love. So today, actually last Monday, we found out after about close to 5 months of going through this, that Tanner's in remission. So really awesome. Good praise report, man. Again, thanks for everybody for continued prayers and thoughts. She's got 6 more treatments of immunotherapy if we're getting into the details here. But other than that, she's in remission, cancer-free. And so incredible. January at MD, we'll be finished up, man. What a blessing to get through this season. And, it's just another reflection of life where you got to be resilient.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. You mentioned Hap, and a lot of maybe casual fans don't know him, and I don't know his exact role inside the football program, but he's been here forever. And it's funny you mentioned him saying, "Hey, what can the Duke community do to help you?" I was in the Yo probably a month, 6 weeks ago, and was talking. He happened to be there in the conversation, and literally his phone rang while we were in the conversation. It was somebody connected to the football program, a former player who was asking Hap, "Hey, do you know of someone that helps in this specific thing?" Because I believe it was a spouse or a child or something, needed some sort of help or some sort of treatment. And he literally walked out of our conversation to go, take that call and help. So it's really, really cool, man. It's the power of the Duke Network, right?
Yeah, man, that's something I'll never forget. You always kind of think in your life, who are your people? Well, you have so many, man, backing you in your corner, especially when you go to a program like Duke. And that was what Coach Cutt always preached, man. Life is way more than just about football. It's about the community that you surround yourself with. And we had more than just a great football team. We had a really great program full of great people. I mean, the number of people that I could shout out from Duke that reached out and that have helped me and impacted me, Heather, our academic advisor, just so many people from the Duke community, fans, otherwise, I just am so thankful for.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, Thomas, we really appreciate you coming on. Duke's got a big one this coming Saturday night. Duke is sitting at 7-3. Very well could be 9-3 at the end of the regular season. Could have a 10-win Duke football team for the first time since 2013. Any last thoughts about this year's squad and what you've seen from a distance?
Man, that for one, that defense is hostile to play against. And shout out to Coach Diaz for what he's done with the program and getting the guys on board. I think keeping the strength and conditioning coach was a huge plus, because that's who you spend your time with in the offseason. So I love to see the direction. I love to see Duke winning. I hope we get to that 10-win mark. I think that's going to be a great pickup to get Malik Murphy. I'm in Austin, so my wife and her whole family are all Longhorns. And so I knew Malik and got to see him play. So I was thrilled when he got to go to Duke, and I knew that we were going to be in good hands. And yeah, man, I'm really impressed the first year to see what we're able to accomplish in the ACC, and we own the state of North Carolina.
No doubt, no doubt, and we're going to finish it off with Wake in the final game of the regular season, and get the full sweep. You add Elon into it, there as well. So 4-0 in
Yeah.
state of North Carolina is obviously what the goal is. But yeah, with Malik, he showed a little bit of Thomas Sirk legs in the NC State game and actually ran for a touchdown. So we're trying to invoke the spirit of Thomas Sirk as much as we can into Malik and get him running as well. But man, I appreciate your support of the program, Thomas. Obviously what you did as a player, but just staying connected and appreciate you coming on here today and talking a little football with us, man.
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me, man. I love talking Duke football, and it's great to reconnect. And let's go Duke on Saturday. Big win.
And our thanks to Thomas Sirk for taking time out of his busy schedule to come back, reminisce with Josh a little bit about all things Virginia Tech game, and as well as what he's got going on in his personal life today in the year 2024. So it's been a couple of weeks. Mailbag was not as hefty this week. We were all a little bit surprised. We would think with the 2-week absence that you guys would have more questions, but just means we'll get through every question that was sent. So, Jamie, why don't you go ahead and get us rolling with the mailbag?
It was not as hefty, but the Duke of QP did not disappoint.
Oh, I can't wait.
Is that how we're kicking it off?
Oh, baby.
He did not disappoint. So at the Duke of QP, there has been discussion on helmet looks this season. We've seen the Hellraisers. We've seen Gothic Duke. Retro Duke script. Are you ready for them to whip out a giant black D? I've heard that the black Ds are on average larger than the white Ds. And I think this would be an intimidating look. Hard for VT to fight when a big black D is staring him right in the face. Jesus.
God, I love you, Duke. Oh my goodness, that has been the highlight of the season. Every week is I just to wonder what the Duke is going to come in hot with, and boy, he came in. He came in very, very hot this week.
Scalding hot.
I don't think we'll see a big black D, but I think we will see a black helmet. That's all I'm going to say because we've got predictions later on this episode.
One thing we didn't even mention about the state game when we were talking about the state game.
Yes,
that black helmet with the Gothic script was beautiful.
Clean.
Holy crap.
I would love to see that again. Anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah. We'll get we'll get there. At CB Jones 725. What types of adjustments would you like to see made offensively, defensively, or special teams during the off week? I'll start since I'm unmuted. Can we do no more squib kicks, please? No more squib kicks. Like that's my big special teams adjustment.
I've got one. I mean, this is just in that special teams. This is just my opinion. I think you ought to kick every single kickoff through the end zone. Just kick it out of the end zone. Number 2, you ought to fair catch every kickoff. Just take it at 25. Like, analytics has to show that. Just take it at the 25. Anyway, like don't get cute. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. As honestly, at this point, 10 games in, I don't know. I think the adjustments are not going to be like core foundational adjustments. I think it's going to be more of like wrinkle adjustments, right? I think, Brian mentioned Grayson. I think there may be more creativity around packages that include Grayson, and we all know this. I'd love to see a Grayson package that did not just have him take the ball and run up the gut as a quarterback. That's not his game. Like, give him more opportunities there. But I think that's really it. I mean, the defense, we got Tootin coming in, who's a good running back. So I would just say, don't give up chunks on the ground.
I'll follow up the special teams with the inside the 10-yard line. No. Let it go. That's my one adjustment. As far as offense, glad to see that we have finally found the portion of the playbook with a little trickeration. I do enjoy that. And to be honest with you, the queso play where it was going to be a throw and he didn't throw it and ran it, good job. Because most guys would have thrown a pick right there and would have blown all the momentum. And I'm pretty sure um, that was just beautiful. And one of the play we missed in the state game real fast, the touchdown on the fourth down that would have been a touchdown had Stinson and I think Terry Moore not pushed Concepcion out of bounds through the end zone, because that's a totally different ball game also. But, defensively, great job. We're doing wonderful. There's a couple things we need to fix, I believe. But honestly, this is one of the best defenses we've ever seen. Offense, I think, is getting better. We're starting to open up the playbook a little bit more. I mean, every long pass, if you just throw Jordan Moore out there, you kind of make it where it's going to be an adventurous opportunity, Jordan's going to catch it. I mean, and 9 out of 10 times it's for a touchdown, which is even better. But I would like to see Jordan maybe get a different touchdown move. I mean, have a little pizzazz, brother. Do a little bit of something. Just whatever.
That is not
That's
Jordan
just
Moore,
me.
though. That's not Jordan Moore.
I know.
That'll be
but
coming. That'll be coming on Sundays. He'll come up with something.
Look,
Got to.
I would love to see Eli Pankel score more touchdowns just to watch the way he does it, because he is a showman, and we'll get to something about him in a few minutes. I got to talk about, but anyway.
I'm calling it right now. Whenever Jaden gets on the field and starts scoring touchdowns, Scott's going to be like, I wish he would tone it down with the touchdown celebrations.
They're getting out of hand.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Ref, throw the flag for unsportsmanlike conduct. The only thing I would say is it's been clear that Malik has been held back from running. I mean, he showed what he can do. I'm kidding. I mean, everything that the guy said, I agree with. It's just, it feels like the offense has finally caught up with the defense as far as, playing a full game, because I keep mentioning it to the fans I talk to, and I think I've said it a couple of times. We usually can see how the first half's going to go for Duke based off their first 3 series. If they don't do something in their first 3 series, it's going to be a long first half. If they get going early, they stay hot. And we saw that at State, because they went field goal and then touchdown. So, and then it was the opposite effect. But I think that it's just coming at the right time, especially with 2 games that, if this Duke team can win, and I know there's going to be a question about the bowl game, our chances of going to a better bowl get better and better and better.
I will say, now that Malik has gone full Cam Newton, we can expect 400 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns over the next 2 weeks. I think that's not unreasonable. I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe a little unreasonable. I'll go ahead and ask this. We kind of talked about it. Brian kind of talked about it. But Bentley Weeks had asked, how did we feel about Manny putting in Grayson for that one play against State against State. I said Steak. I'm thinking about food apparently against State, NC State. I was under the impression we were going to redshirt him this year, and he still is redshirting. I think he's already basically achieved
good
the
to go.
redshirt, right? Yeah, so
he's good to go. He can play the rest of the games.
So
and
I
we
was
did.
happy. I mean,
Yeah, we did mention. Sorry, I keep interrupting you, Jamie.
You're good.
Just so I don't forget, Josh and the guys and I were talking about it before we hit the record button. Bowl game does not count towards games played in a season, so he can play in the bowl game as well.
I think we were all happy about it. I mean, this is a Grayson Loftus fan podcast. We love Grayson, so I mean, it was good to see him out there. Like Josh had mentioned earlier, it would be nice to see him get a wrinkle where he, maybe throws the ball instead of just coming in to run the ball or something. But moving on, next we got Noah Lunsford. Got a couple of questions that are similar. Noah Lunsford, Malik Murphy is 6th in the nation in passing touchdowns and 6th in completion percentage amongst quarterbacks that have thrown 300 or more passes. And he said, "Can we start kicking non-ball knowers from the group?" This came from Facebook. And similar question, Eli Hartso. If hypothetically Malik finished first in the ACC in all major passing stats, what do you think Duke fans would find to complain about with him? He said, "Again, this is hypothetical. No, seriously, it's hypothetical." So
ironic that came from Eli and Noah.
It's funny because it does feel like, I mean, basically a lot of Duke fans want Josh Allen. Like they want what we saw yesterday on Sunday, like Josh Allen running and throwing, and it's just not Malik's game. We did see him run a touchdown, but we're just gonna have to live with the fact that it's not Malik's game.
Well, and here's the other thing, Jamie, and I'm not gonna go down this tangent. I'm just gonna be very concise. What Duke fans want is like a perfect quarterback, and like that quarterback does not exist. Last year we had a running quarterback, and you guys complained that Riley couldn't throw the deep ball. You know what I mean? Like this year we have a quarterback who can throw the deep ball, but he doesn't run. It's like, okay, like if you have all that in one quarterback, then you have a daggone NFL quarterback. That like it just is what it is. And so, you know, look, Malik is getting better. I think Brewer and Malik and the way they're working together is getting better over the last couple of weeks. Um, and I think expectations have to be tempered. And if we tweeted this from our account earlier a couple of days ago. If you look at what we all had said that we thought Malik would have heading into the season, he has already met or exceeded what we said would happen at the beginning of the season. And so like let's just keep it all in perspective and appreciate sixth.
Yeah, Manny mentioned today that Malik has gotten better, and when he came in, he was hurt. So he's just finally starting to get opening up a little bit. I'm not saying that's why he hasn't run, but I think that may be part of the reason why they've had they've held him back some. But hey, we would beg and plead for any quarterback to do the things that Malik has done this season and this team has done in the past. And we got to enjoy it. Enjoy every minute of this, because would you trade 7-3 and complaining about this and going back to 0-12 every week and barely having 150 people there at the ball games? No, nobody wants to go back to that. So let's enjoy what we got, because honestly, you know as well as I do, in the NIL world, the way things work, we don't know. The pieces are not all going to be the same next season. We're going to lose a lot of pieces that transferred in. We're going to see a lot of new faces. Look, Manny and the guys are going to have to work the portal just the way they did this past season. Hey, it doesn't always work out perfectly. This happened to be just a great class of dudes. We're going to see a lot of, and again, I'll stop because I know that question's coming in a minute, but we got a great class of dudes that came in, and be glad. Be glad we're where we are. Be glad that we have a chance to go out with another win Saturday night against somebody who we've had a hard time beating over the years in Durham, especially even stopping the forward pass against them over the years.
Moving on to Peter Dodge. He says, "Welcome back." He says, "I love a bye week for the team." He says, I despise a bye week for my fandom. As we face Senior Day, I stand and applaud our guys who will be honored for their commitment to Duke, Duke football and academics. The good old days. What's the best guess on who we may not see next year? I mean, I guess he's talking about guys that are walking that we're probably not going to see come back, obviously.
Well, I mean, you got guys that are out of eligibility. I mean, you got your, Jordan Moore, Josh Pickett, Joshua Pickett. Sorry, his family wanted to make sure we refer to him as Joshua Pickett. Jalen Stinson. You've got your guys like that. And then you've got your guys who came in and transferred that were here for a year. Your Alex Howards, your Ozzie Nicholas, those types of folks. And so, obviously, let's just go ahead and get out in front of it. There will be people on this roster who enter the transfer portal. It's going to happen. Get ready for it. If I am not trying to be fan police. You get all up in your feelings, however you want to get up in your feelings. But I think as a podcast, we could say that consider the fact of whether these gentlemen who enter the portal have gotten their degree yet from Duke. And here's what I think we would say. If they've gotten their degree from Duke and they want to transfer out to go somewhere else, they have accomplished a lifelong dream and a goal. go, please. Let's cheer them on. Let's be bigger people than that. Now, if a guy leaves early, has not got his degree, absolutely. Whatever, however you want to feel about that, that's on you. Do your thing. If you really want to be mad at a 20-year-old, 19-year-old kid as a grown adult, then go right ahead. But as far as guys that have their degree, like, come on, like, have some maturity, be supportive, and understand they're maximizing their potential in college. But all that to answer the question, Jamie, there's no way that we know. There's no way for us to know. We do know that this is the last senior day for Nikki Dalmolin, and you go down kind of that list there. There are several that we won't see anymore. John Tavis Robertson, Eli Pancol. So sorry.
One thing I will say is Duke fans need to understand is I understand that the culture is you don't come here just for a 4-year playing for 4 years. You're here for a 40-year degree or whatever the saying is. There are some kids that how do I say this as eloquently as I can? They don't have that same mindset. They don't. They're here for football or they're here for said sports. And there's probably going to be some guys who are thinking forward ahead who might get a better offer in the NIL world, and they take it and they leave Duke to go elsewhere. That's going to happen too. Not just your graduates. I would say there's going to be some guys with eligibility left that leave. And we saw this at the beginning of the year with some fans, and I'm not singling anyone out, but Riley Leonard, he left, and fans were talking about, well, he wasn't that as good as we thought he was, and he's not so much a traitor, but he just abandoned Duke. Like Josh has said this, and I'm going to echo it. If you're working at a job and someone offers you better pay, better situation overall, I'll better benefits. I'm not saying Duke doesn't have a good culture atmosphere
and doing the same job, performing the same job.
Exactly.
Is the job at the beach asking for a friend?
Yes, exactly. You can't tell me that you yourself, if you were in that situation, would go, you know what, to better my family, to better myself, to better just my day-to-day, I'm going to do this. So NIL is still new, it's still fresh, and it's still taking a lot of adjusting, not only for programs, not only for players, but for us as fans. But just if someone on this team at the end of the year does say, it's been good, Duke, but I've got to do this for myself and my family, take a step back and try to be in their shoes before you criticize their decision.
I literally did that. I went from the city of Durham to the city of Raleigh to the town of Cary.
To working from 5 days a week to working 7 days a month. Got
it. Ain't no loyalty. There's no loyalty.
Yep.
But no, Brian's got a great point. I mean, if you can better yourself, fight. More power to you. More power to you. And that's what these kids are looking at. At FishFry02, for someone who may be new, younger, or just never thought about how senior day works, he wants us to break down and explain what senior day or what last home game may look like and mean to all the seniors involved.
Oh man, okay, I'll take this. So, first of all, really fortunate for Duke this season that senior day is not Thanksgiving weekend, because there's nothing worse for these guys that have, played their butts off for however many years, and the final home game where they're going out and being appreciated, there's like 10,000 people in the stands. That's not cool at all. So really cool that it's going to be 8 o'clock the weekend before Thanksgiving. Should be decently full there in Wallace Wade. I will say this: if you want to take part in the festivities, make sure you get there a little early. If you're like one of those people that just show up right when the game is starting, you'll miss it. Players come out individually. They have a jersey, Nina King, their families. It's really cool, and it's really I think it probably means more for the parents sometimes than it does really for the players. But it's a way, and most players are going to have extended family and friends here. Guys, anything to add to that?
I don't think so. Other than there will be tears from the parents mostly. I think. Uh, moving on, Brian Alford. I wanted to know if there are any freshmen that we could see maybe getting some playing time over the next couple of games, since it will not have any effect on their eligibility and still be able to redshirt.
Oh, I don't know
mean,
the
it's
answer to that, Jamie.
I mean, it's
I'll be
possible, but
here's why I don't know the answer, because I don't think any of us, and once again, we probably could follow it closer. I'm not sure how much we've paid attention to special teams and who's getting reps on special teams to give an honest answer there. I mean, that's a very interesting question. I would say no. I would think my gunshot or slingshot answer would be no. Like, I don't believe there is anybody.
I kind of agree, because, like, I mean, if they're not they're not high enough on the depth chart to get any. I don't see them getting any burn unless Duke is blowing out Virginia Tech, which I don't really foresee. But if Duke is beating Virginia Tech by 40 points, then yeah, we could see a lot of guys get in. I mean, you could see Grayson Loftus and all sorts of people get in.
I feel like there's a chance we may see some guys we haven't seen yet that are on lower on the depth chart just for energy. Maybe. I mean, it may take the 40 points or whatever, but I do think there's a chance we may see some guys on special teams that we've never heard of before. And, it's always great to me when I see a number I don't recognize. So then I have to go to my phone. Who is this guy? Why don't I know who he is? And that's tough for me because I usually know most of the names in 95% of the time.
All right. Moving on to Jacob Carver, and he wants to know: do we have a preferred bowl game in mind to see Duke play in this year? I'll go since I'm unmuted, and I think we'll all just kind of say. I mean, for me, it would be Charlotte. I mean, for being honest, 2.5 hours, like that's a great bowl game. But I mean, well, really looking at it, I mean, the Gator Bowl would be fun.
Jamie's
Anything in
about to
Florida.
list all the bowls, so none of us are going to be able to say it.
Pop
Yeah,
Tarts,
you get
Orange
one.
Bowl.
Yeah.
You get one bowl. You said the
I
Duke's
know.
Mayo Bowl.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Hey, do you need help? I got you. I got you covered. Give me the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I've been wanting to go down there since, what was it before the Pop-Tarts Bowl? I forgot the sponsor. Not Camping World.
Cheez-Its?
Yeah, it was Camping World Cheez-Its.
Yeah, that's right. It was the Cheez-Its
But it was
Bowl.
also it was the Camping World before Cheez-Its for many years.
Too many sponsors. But yeah, seeing that Pop-Tart go into the toaster last year and the Kansas State players eating it was amazing. And by the way, folks, they just came out today and announced there's not going to just be one mascot. There's going to be 3 Pop-Tarts mascots this year. 2 of them they named, and the third one's going to be a mystery flavor, which kudos to the marketing staff of that bowl. I mean, you can't do any better than that. Selfishly, would love to go to Pop-Tarts. A lot's still going to need to happen for that to be a reality. But yeah, give me Pop-Tarts.
All right. I would say anything in the state of Florida because it'll be December and be cold. But I'm not going to say that. I'll set one up for Scott so he can spike it. I'm going to go one of the 2 baseball stadium bowls. Now, it would suck to be cold, but Fenway or Pinstripe would be cool. I know we've been to Pinstripe Bowl. Shout out Indiana. But I know we've been there before, but it's been a long time. And then we've never done the Fenway just because of the scheduling, and now it is available to Duke. And so I'm going to go with one of those 2, one of the baseball stadiums.
The good news would be the Fenway Bowl kicks off at 11 a.m. So we would at least have
good news.
Yeah, because the sun's up. Unlike the Pinstripe Bowl where it's going to be at night.
I
You
don't
said
want
it's
to get up like
cold.
6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh man, you're starting to sound like me.
That 3:30, man. Give me that like 3:30 time slot, man. That's like perfect.
Jamie,
we wouldn't have to get up to like 9 a.m. and then we could just get to the game at like.
Jamie's turning into we're going to wake up, we're going to show our tickets, we're going to get our seats, and it's going to be kickoff. I'm getting the same way. So me and Jamie are kindred spirits.
And I'm the old guy of the group. That's the funny part. All right. So obviously, nobody in their right mind wants to go to El Paso. I don't care who you are. You don't want to go to El Paso. There's no reason to go to El Paso
Or San Diego.
or San Diego for that matter. Because, and the reason I say that, I would say San Diego 99.9% of the time. At Christmas time, going to San Diego is expensive. I already looked it up. Yeah, I don't make that much money in a month. Let's put it that way. So that being said, I personally do not want to go up north on the 95 corridor. But I agree with Josh. The two baseball stadiums would be cool. I would rather go to Boston. I'd like to see him Patica, stuff like that. But
Scott, I thought you were going Gator, bro. I thought you were going Gator. You're heading there. Okay, sorry.
I'm getting there.
You're taking the long route, the scenic route.
He's crafting it.
He's gone to the West Coast. He's gone to the Northeast. He's gonna wind up down there in Florida.
That's what happens when you let me go last. Okay. But yes, the Gator Bowl would be just ideal for me as far as I'm concerned because of where it's at. Jamie could drive there in a reasonable amount of time, and we could get in and out of the flights not that bad. And plus, when it is, I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the Birmingham Bowl last year. That was a long 48 hours. We did a lot in 48 hours. I can't believe I remember everything that happened, but we had a good time while we were there. But I would like to be able to go, obviously, perfectly. I agree with Jamie Mayo, but Gator to me would be the one that I would like to go to, just because I've never been there. I think it would be fun. I think it would be an exciting opportunity, and plus, it's Florida, and it's warmer. So give me sunny and 75 over anything else.
Yeah, I mean that's Jacksonville, right? So that's easily drivable. Let's go.
Yeah, Jamie, when you put in the directions, just do the directions to the Jacksonville airport so you can pick us up.
Oh, I'd be coming from the beach too. I'd be leaving from the beach.
Actually, let me just throw this out there. If it's Jacksonville, the last time I checked, like of the major airlines that I would fly, I don't fly them bootleg airlines. So there's not a direct flight from Raleigh-Durham to Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought Southwest still had one.
No.
Oh.
So I am not. I will drive. I'll drive that because it's like 8 hours, 7 hours, 7.5 hours.
Yeah, it's a short drive.
It's not bad at all.
I'll
drive that.
I'll end the question by saying this: there's only one bowl game that the ACC is affiliated with that goes before Christmas, and that's the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah,
Duke would have to. Yeah, Duke would have to lose the remaining games.
That is the Chapel Hill College Bowl right there, friends.
Right.
That is where they're going to go.
The games after Christmas, but before New Year's, you've got the Fenway Bowl on the 28th, the Pop-Tarts Bowl on the 28th. I thought that one was later. And then I'm just double checking here. The Sun Bowl, which we probably wouldn't go to anyway. That's New Year's Eve. And then after New Year's, you've got Gator and Duke's Mayo and the Holiday Bowl. So there you go.
Man, I'm not going to lie. I'm with you, Jamie, on your original, though. I'm down for Duke's Mayo. Charlotte's great. Like, it's later, too. But we'll see. We got to win 2 football games, and then we'll let the chips fall. Great question, though.
All right, next question. This is kind of well, who knows? Derek Scott says, do you think anyone could opt out of the bowl game? And it is what it is. The times are the times. And I mean, probably like, right. I mean, you'd almost be shocked to see everyone play in the bowl game.
Well, okay.
The way things are now, at least.
So first of all, 2 years ago, you had Mike Elko's first year. No one expected Duke to be that successful. We were riding the high of Riley Leonard, and everybody played in that bowl game. Last year, you had the whole we're banding together. We just got abandoned by our head coach. Trooper Taylor's rallying the troops. Like, everybody's like, we're going to win this for our boys. I mean, you had guys playing in a bowl game that were in the portal. Like, they were gone, and, like, they're still playing in the bowl game. Like, that was like Aeneas Peebles was the main one. I mean, played in the bowl game. But all that to say, there is no guarantee and no way that you can expect or put the expectation on this year's team to mimic the last 2 seasons. Now, I will say I do believe that kind of a culture has been set at Duke to where these guys do want to finish the job and they do want to play one final game with their teammates. But that also doesn't mean that there won't be a guy or 2 or 5 who say either draft or portal. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do something different for the bowl game. And once again, fans, like grown adults, like let's be understanding that there's bigger things in play for some of these guys for sure.
All right. At Ross Jacobs 684, if Duke finishes 9-3, do we believe that they should be in the top 25? I think so. I mean, they're receiving votes. I think I think Scott sent this in our group text earlier. They're receiving votes in both polls already. Had they beaten SMU, we also discussed this, that we would already be in the top 25. Likely. I mean, even losing to Miami the next week, I think we would still be in the top 25, especially after beating State, following that up and beating State at State. But yeah, I believe they belong in the top 25 if they finish out. Obviously, you got to win Virginia Tech and Wallace Wade Saturday night, and then you got to go on the road and beat Wake Forest, and I think they would be in. Anybody else got anything? Lane Phipps just he kind of had more of a comment that I thought I'd read. No question, just here to say every time we touch is greater than enter Sandman. So I thought that was funny. It's not.
Wow, wait a minute.
It's not even close, Lane. Come on.
Cascada is greater than Metallica.
Goodbye, Lane.
It's not even.
Brian's gonna block Lane on Twitter.
No, I'm kidding.
He said
he's gonna get the Kaufman treatment.
He said, "I'm sad that it's the last home game of the season. This year was the first time I've ever bought season tickets, and it's been a very enjoyable season." And he says, "Thanks for what we do with the podcast. He enjoys engaging in the group and reading the drama in the comments." And there is lots of drama in the comments a lot of times.
I would say this real fast, talking about the Enter Sandman and Cascada thing. We're actually playing 2 schools back to back where the entrances are probably 2 of the best in the conference. NC State, I don't care what they play as their entrance song, that is unbelievable. And then we're going to experience Enter Sandman here in the next year or 2, or whenever it happens. Whenever it happens, Brian,
Brian already has it memorized. 2034.
We are going to
tell the tape coming up.
See, there you go. That's your preview. But anyway.
All right. So last 2 questions. We'll move on to a little bit of Virginia Tech talk here.
By the way, real quick, shout out to Lane and shout out to all of you who, and we've had multiple people who have told us, hey, I ended up getting season tickets. Like, I started interacting with you guys like that. Listen, that's the way you grow the fan base. It's like one season ticket holder at a time, right? Just continue to add. And so shout out Lane, man. We're glad that you found a home and enjoying Duke football.
Yeah, it's awesome. We love to see people come on board and root for Duke football, because let's be honest. I saw somebody say something about some bandwagon fans the other day on Facebook. I'm like, dude, we do not have Duke football bandwagon fans. Like,
that literally does not exist.
It's like, we want it to exist. Like, please, let's have some bandwagon fans. But anyways, moving on to a couple of questions here and on Virginia Tech. Back with at the Duke of QP again. He says, "What is a Hokie and why is it on the dinner menu this week?" So I thought that was funny. But and then George Bunn wants to know, what are the keys to beating Virginia Tech? He says they're a solid team.
Yeah, I'll mention just one. You guys can, I'm sure you can fill this in, but I mentioned it earlier. They believe they can run the football, and they've got a good running back, and so I think stopping the run on defense would be one of the keys that I would put out there.
Well, yep. Here's my stats. So they've got the 36th best rushing offense in the country. They're averaging close to 190 a game. Duke's defense is allowing 149 rushing yards a game. That's 71st. So something's got to give, because Virginia Tech on average only passes the ball for on average 184 yards. That's 112th in the country. Duke's got one of the better passing defenses with 191 yards allowed. So that falls right in line with what Virginia Tech's doing per game. That's the 34th best passing defense. So if Duke can stop the run, and that's been the defense's really Achilles heel, I don't see why Duke can't win this game.
I would say this real fast.
Go ahead.
It is on the menu for the Thursday after. That's what a Hokie is going to be on the dinner menu. And similar to what Brian just said and what Josh was mentioning, Vishal Tootin did not play in their last game. He was hurt. And we have seen him before, Duke fans, if you don't remember. He played at North Carolina A&T 3 years ago and had a pretty decent game against us. But Drones, the quarterback, and him are a really good 1-2 punch. And you talk about the handoff. Whichever one of them takes the football can take it to the house either way. And Tootin is really good at the long run. He's had a couple of big runs this season. So just something to watch there.
Wait. So you're saying Tootin had the runs?
Oh my God!
He had the Bobby Hurleys.
So, so Tootin wasn't pooting up the field?
No, he was not.
Okay.
But hey, one of the other things too, though, we get to see. We mentioned it a few minutes ago. We get to see our old friend Aeneas, who's one of the best defensive players they have on that team. So we get to see him, and it'd be great to give him some of that Jordan Waters treatment we gave out last weekend, 2 weekends ago, and let him go out on senior day and take an L and take the long walk with the rest of them.
Well, and I will say too, if you see Malik Murphy throwing to our outside receivers, and you see the Virginia Tech defensive backs not turning around and looking at the football, it'll be because Derek Jones is coaching those defensive backs.
One thing to put a button on this, to Scott's point, when Virginia Tech played Clemson 2 weeks ago and Tootin wasn't pooting up the field, they only had 40 rushing yards total against the Tigers that game.
You know what I mean? It's really as simple as what you guys are talking about. Stop the run, force Drones to throw the ball. Like, that's what we want. Like, you don't want Drones to get out in the open field. We don't want Tootin on down the field. Because, that could get ugly. Right? It could get ugly fast.
Tootin be shooting up the field.
Yeah. Never trust a Tootin. Because he's like... but anyways, let's... Because you know what could happen if you trust a Tootin.
That's true, man.
So you're
hoping
hoping
for start the run.
Those
You're hoping
runs,
they wear the
man,
dark pants at night. Is that what you're saying? Saturday night, we're hoping for dark pants on Virginia Tech.
But this is going to be much like our game plan against Carolina, right? We were concerned about Hampton, and Tootin's one of the best running backs in the conference, and Drones can run the football, but I'm not as concerned about him throwing the ball. So stop the run, force Drones to beat you through the air. I think that's the game plan. And that's all the questions. That's all she wrote.
Oh, hey, Jamie, thanks. And thank you guys for interacting with us with your questions. Looking forward to the final home game. If for some reason, you've not been to a game yet this year, do everything you can to get to Wallace Wade Saturday night at 8 o'clock. We know that you will enjoy that. We want to thank our friends at El Rodeo Mexican Restaurant on North Duke Street in Durham for being our R&D sponsor. And just great Mexican food. Ate there yesterday. I had me a carne asada sope with some salsa verde. And I stole my daughter's avocado slices and put them on there too. It was really good. So
you trying to sound like Tony Montana or something?
Yeah, man. But
Let me
really
tell you
good.
something.
But yeah, really good food, really good atmosphere. North Duke Street, about 10 to 12 minutes from campus. Make sure you hit it up. Let them know you listen to the Section 17 podcast. And once again, thank you to our sponsors, El Rodeo. But we're not going to stop there. We're not stopping. It's time to look back in the history, back into the annals of Duke lore for this week in Blue Devil history with Scott Mellon. Scott, take it away.
All right, so we're going to go back a few years here to November the 18th, 2017, when Daniel Jones, before he was the third-string quarterback for the New York Giants now, led the Blue Devils to a win over the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, 43-20. Jones was 18 of 26 for 177 yards, 2 TDs, and had 91 on the ground with a TD. Britton Brown had 113 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Lloyd, the former baseball player turned football player, had 5 receptions for 57 yards. Joe Josh Harris led the team with 14 tackles. Duke had 500 yards of total offense that day. Unfortunately, Paulette Johnson couldn't excuse Duke. Didn't have a bye that week before like he always complained about everything else. They did play Army the week before. Rumor has it, though, he still tried to chop block cut on the way off the thing during the handshake line. But that's this week in Duke football history, with a corny joke or two in there that were really bad.
Hey, I always love it when we bring up the Paul Johnson, David Cutcliffe like beef that was going on. And I also love the fact that back when we used to bring on the play-by-play guys for our opponents, we asked Andy Demetra about it, and he literally blew it off and refused to say a word. So anyway, it's good this week in Duke Blue Devil history. It's always good to highlight the good things in the Duke football history. So Brian, we got the old Gobblers coming to town on Saturday night, and you bring us every week to tell the tape, and so let's hear it for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Tell the tape.
Going to be another good one this weekend, 8 o'clock on the ACC Network. If you can't make it into Wallace Wade Stadium, tell the tape for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Last year, Virginia Tech went 7-6 and made it to the Military Bowl, where they defeated Tulane 41-20. Now, entering this weekend's game, the Hokies are currently 5-5 and 3-3 in ACC play, so Virginia Tech is looking to still go bowling. Now, the last time Virginia Tech played, as we stated earlier, was 2 weeks ago when they were defeated by Clemson 24-14. Head coach Brent Pry is in his 3rd season as Virginia Tech's head coach with an overall coaching record of 15-19. Before coming to Virginia Tech, Pry had stops as an assistant coach at Penn State, Vanderbilt, Georgia Southern, Memphis, and Louisiana Lafayette. Now, overall, this is the 31st matchup all time between Duke and Virginia Tech, with Virginia Tech leading the series matchup against Duke 19-11. The first ever meeting between Duke and Virginia Tech took place at the World War Memorial Stadium in Greensboro on September 25th, 1937, where Duke would defeat Virginia Tech 25-0. Duke won the first 6 matchups of the series against Virginia Tech. However, since 1969, Virginia Tech has won 19 of the 23 games against Duke. The last time Duke and Virginia Tech played was in 2022, when Duke defeated Virginia Tech 24-7. Now, the win in 2022 was the first time Duke defeated Virginia Tech at home since October 10th, 1981, when the Blue Devils defeated the Hokies 14-7. Now, Scott, this one's for you. After this year's game, Duke and Virginia Tech will not play again until the year 2029 in Blacksburg, due to the new ACC scheduling system that came out earlier this year. And Manny Diaz is 2-1 all-time against Virginia Tech when he was the head coach at Miami. Now it's time for Did You Know? The Hokie has been the official mascot of Virginia Tech for 60-plus years. The first mascot for Virginia Tech would debut in 1896 when Floyd Hard Times Meade, a Virginia Tech mess hall employee, would dress as a clown in his maroon and orange outfits for games. In 1913, Meade would start bringing his pet turkey to the football games. The turkey would gobble on command during the games and also pull a cart and walk on a leash. The use of a live turkey mascot would continue until 1962, when the first costumed Hokie would be introduced. Civil engineer student Mercer McPherson saw the Pitt Panther and the Penn State Nittany Lion mascots that year and decided Virginia Tech needed one as well. After raising $180 from the student body, McPherson drove to a manufacturing plant in Pittsburgh and had the Hokie bird costume made. McPherson would debut the costume during the season finale against VMI on November 22, 1962, and the new mascot would be a mainstay for the school going forward. Now, as far as who gets to be the Hokie bird, the university holds tryouts for students to determine who gets to don the Hokie bird outfit. By tradition, The identity of those who are fortunate enough to be the Hokie mascot are kept secret until they graduate from Virginia Tech. Now, how do people know who was the Hokie bird while at Virginia Tech? When the students who had the honor walk into the graduation ceremony wearing the Hokie bird feet from the costume itself. And that was the tell of the tape for the Virginia Tech Hokies. And I will say this, I learned this. The identity of the Duke Blue Devil is under wraps as well. No one knows who plays the devil while they are playing.
That is correct.
Yep.
I actually can tell you who a couple of them are, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, no, I believe after they're done, I think there's a way because there's like they're highlighting them on social media. I think like the alumni, Duke alumni is, or somebody is.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was saying that I know who they are now currently.
There's definitely a smaller human
I've seen both of them without the mask on. So I know exactly who they are, but I'm not going to point them out to anybody. Just for the record.
Scott might be getting a gag order.
The one thing I came out of this tell the tape was like, I'm super impressed by that pet turkey.
Pulling a cart on a leash, gobbles on command.
Very impressed.
Being walked out by a clown.
Oh God,
that's incredible.
Who's got the nickname Hard Times? I mean, man, what was going on up in Blacksburg?
Incredible.
That's like nightmare. That's like nightmare fuel. You see a clown walk out by a turkey.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly. Well, it's time for predictions, but we had. Do we have anything to announce from last week?
Honestly, I do not have the winners from NC State. They have all been reached out to.
Yeah, we've already got it. So you got your Scott. Do you remember?
I need one of. Let me make a quick statement, and then to these two guys.
We're about to do housekeeping here.
Yes, housekeeping
we have to housekeep. If you are a Facebook winner, please reach out to us if you hear your name called, because one of us does not have Facebook anymore and cannot
we don't
reach
have time
out
to hear about this.
So whoever won last week, which I think was Grayson Lancaster.
Yeah.
You're the Facebook winner. So you're the one I couldn't reach out to. So please reach out to one of these other three. Let them know your shirt size and your address, and I will get it shipped to you ASAP. I promise.
Hey, Scott, has your dad sold all of his stuff yet?
We're still working on it.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be getting a boat from him. I gave him $500. I'm supposed to be getting that boat. So
I told you guys to give me the cash.
Did you take a picture of yourself holding your driver's license?
Hey, I'll never tell about that now.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, Brian, give us the a little bit surprising numbers that we have heading into this Virginia Tech game.
So typically the lines come out on Sunday afternoon, and interestingly enough, and it's kind of stayed right here, even the bets have not changed this. Duke is a 2.5 point underdog, and the over-under is set at 47.5 points. So Vegas is thinking that both teams will score maybe 3 to 4 touchdowns each. So it would be an interesting game, to say the least. I'm unmuted. I'll go ahead and get us rolling because I've got a little bit more stats for you guys to help out with your score predictions. So coming into this weekend's game, the Hokies defense are surrendering close to 23 points a game, which is 48th best in the nation. Their offense is scoring on average 29 points per game. That is 57th best in the NCAA. Now, as far as Duke goes, their defense is giving up 22.1 points per game, which is 45th in the country, and their offense is scoring 26 points per game, 82nd best overall out of 133 schools. Even with all that being said, I've still got Duke winning this one. I think 2 weeks ago showed what this offense is capable of. The defense has been doing great all season long. I don't see it stopping against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has had its good games, its bad games, very streaky team, especially with them coming in 5-5. So I've got Duke winning a closer one on the scoreboard than what it would actually be. I've got Duke winning 28-24 to stay close to those averages. Now, as far as the jersey combination, it's going to be another blackout, 8 o'clock kickoff. The team decides what they're going to wear. It's all black, and I think the Gothic helmet is going to return, the white Gothic on the sides. I will say this, guys. I got some insider info, and I didn't mention this earlier. There were talks of making it black helmet with the white Duke Gothic and a white face mask. That was another option they had thought about, but it just didn't look as good. I tried to get the rendering, but whoever was telling me couldn't find the photo. But you never know. We could see. So again, 28-24 blackout with the white Gothic script on the side. Who's next?
I'll go because I'm gonna straight copy and paste Brian's uniform prediction because I also think it's a blackout, and I think the Gothic script on the helmet returns because I think that would look super cool at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night in Wallace Wade. As far as my score, what did we say the over under was? 47.
47.5.
I'm actually gonna stick really close to the number there, and I'm gonna go Duke 27, Virginia Tech 20. Duke 27, Virginia Tech 20. I think we see a close game at Wallace Wade Saturday night, but I think Duke can prevail and get their 8th win of the season.
All right. I want to pick my uniform combo black, blue, black with the white Gothic Duke on the black helmet, but I'm not because this is senior day. They're obviously going to let seniors pick, and I think we have heard consensus from most players that they like the all black with the Hellraiser. So I'm going all black with the Hellraiser for the home game. I just think that's what it's going to be. I could be completely wrong. Where I'm not going to mistrust, whatever the right word is there, Vegas. I'm going to stick around that 47.5, but I will go Duke 28, Virginia Tech 17. Duke 28, Virginia Tech 17. Scotty McMedlin.
I do find it interesting, though, that 26 is the number because I think that's where we stuck for the whole month of September just about. So that's interesting. That's what we're averaging per game. Let's be honest. You can't go wrong with all black anything when you're in football uniforms. The other sports burn them things to the ground and never bring them back. But in football, they look beautiful on Saturday night in Wallace Wade Stadium, senior night. I'm torn because I do think that the helmet with the Gothic and the white would be perfect, but I'm with Josh on it. I think because the Hellraiser is such a big deal. And if you didn't watch the behind the scenes with the Pickett twins, make sure you go back and watch that because they mentioned some of their combinations that they liked. But that being said, that's my choice as far as that concerns. And for the score prediction, I want to stay close to where you guys are. I really do. I want to go a little bit higher. I think Duke's going to get 31. I really think Duke scores at least 4 touchdowns. I don't know about the Virginia Tech part. Part of me wants to say 31-14. Part of me wants to say 31-20. So let's just split the difference. 31-17 Blue Devils. I think it's going to be. I just don't know if they can score. I think the defense is great. Looking forward to seeing these guys. This is their last time in Wallace Wade Stadium. Some of the guys have been here 4 years, 3 years, whatever. Gonna miss the transfer guys that came in for the 1 year. Man, I'm a huge Ozzie Nicholas, Alex Howard. Those are 2 of my favorite players. And just guys, if you're watching this, your family's watching this, man, thank y'all for coming to Duke. It is great. All you other guys, all the seniors, we love y'all. Hate that this is the last time we're going to get to see you play in Durham, but we know we got a couple more games left. Let's go to Florida. Let's win the bowl game also. Let's win the last 2 games. Let's have a great time. Just go beat the Hokies. Let's not give up a 3rd and 42, 45-yard pass like we did with Tyrod back in the day over Matt Daniels' head, poor guy. But anyway, go Duke.
All right. Well, I'm not prepared to see Jordan Moore play his final home game at Duke.
He's so not prepared that he can't talk. He's gone.
Players.
Wait.
Internet, is it back?
Yep, you're back.
Yeah, you're
we
back.
we,
You're
we
back.
thought you
I'm
were just
not prepared. No, I'm not prepared to see Jordan Moore play his last game at home at Wallace Wade. Like, not prepared for that at all. Yeah, and others, just as others. But anyway, if you're following us on social media, we appreciate it. If you're not, you can do that at Duke FB Talk on X, on Instagram, TikTok. I'm not sure if we do anything on TikTok anymore. I have no idea. You can follow us on Facebook group by just searching Duke Football Talk. You can follow us on YouTube. We really do appreciate that. And like, comment, rate, review, all that good stuff. I'm gonna check real quick and see if we've gotten a new review. I don't think we have, but I'm just gonna see. Potentially. No new reviews. It's okay. No new. We did get some more ratings. No new reviews, but we really do appreciate 5-star ratings and reviews. Thank you for your support of our podcast. We look forward to finishing the year strong. We're going to bring you a great episode next week as we head into the beatdown that's going to take place there at Wake Forest, and then ultimately the bowl game. Going to be a great couple final 3 games of the season. We appreciate you following along. Have we forgotten anything? Everything good to go?
One more thing. There will be another behind the scenes video coming out in between the last game of the year and the bowl game. Just going to have to find out what it is when we drop it. We're still working out the logistics of it, but it's going to be another good one. It's going to be one that fans, I think, will appreciate more as we are in the off season. But yeah, other than that, it's been another great episode. We hope to see as many of you as possible for the final game in Wallace Wade for the 2024 season. 8 o'clock kickoff against those pesky Gobblers. If you can't make it, ACC Network, be sure to at least watch if you can't be there live in person. Again, thank you for all your support throughout this year. We look forward to bringing you another episode next week. But that'll do it for this episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast. For Jamie Holt, for Josh Cox, for Scott Medlin, and producer Tyler Witt, I'm Brian Kennedy. And this has been another episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast.